evening, good night. Welcome to the show, what a wonderful delight. Yeah, Patsy and T-Ross better chop up on the mic. Just sit back, have a laugh, catch a vibe, and enjoy the ride. Yeah.
Today's episode is brought to you by my favorite vodka. Is it your favorite vodka? It is.
My favorite vodka.
And it's Game Day, a smoother, better vodka that embodies the spirit of the game. Check out Game Day on all their social media. See if they rep your team's colors. Shout out Game Day. We're about to do some more interactive stuff with the fans with them, so stay tuned. They have some great giveaways coming for March Madness. And we're gonna do something dope with them to collab. And do not forget to use promo code TROSS to get 15% off your order. Let's go Game Day. Now to the episode. All right, on today's show, we have a very special guest with us, the creator of another podcast network and host of another MMA podcast, along with producing this past weekend, King and the Sting. Seems like this guy never stops. The very talented Nick Davis. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming, bro.
What I mean, you just said you just finished recording another episode of King of the Sting Dark. How's everything going over there, man?
Yeah, like you said, just grinding away. Just it's prep for show, record show, edit show, repeat pretty much every day. But I don't know, love what I do. So it's exciting.
The grind never stops.
The grind never stops. I was gonna say, first off, if you haven't seen this man's home setup, is one of the dopest home setups with all the TVs, and you got the mic. How'd that come about? You have that's
True
your
man
podcast, right?
Yep. Well, the Another MMA podcast, because that's like my own solo project, and my job is usually doing other people's. That has really taken a back burner. Yep. So I haven't utilized my dream studio that I built at my home office as much as I wanted to. A couple times we live stream Packer games with a couple buddies and stuff, and just commented as we did it. But like I said, I mean, growing up, huge sports fan, NFL all day. So anytime I went to one of my friends who had a giant TV, that was the goal. And then when me and my girlfriend moved in together, we all know LA is expensive as shit, but I was like, I gotta have a 2-bedroom. And if you want your room for yourself, we can get a 3-bedroom, but I have to have 2. I want my home office. This has been a goal of mine. And then already had some extra TVs from TCL. They were a sponsor of this past weekend. The guy was a huge podcast fan, so it kind of all worked together. And I got a kitchen countertop tables from IKEA, put them up on cinder blocks for kind of a unique look that I was really stoked about. And I don't know, that place is my sanctuary, and I need it because I'm in front of my computer 10 hours a day and stuff. So I love it. I love it.
No, it's definitely
I'll send you guys a pic. I don't know if you guys throw any visuals, but I'll send you that picture to send in there. It's my pride and joy. People commenting on that, dope setup. I was like, thank you.
Yeah, it hits you in the heart.
Dream realized.
It
for
does.
For sure.
It does touch you though. So like you said, you have your projects. I know I saw that you were doing another MMA. Obviously, me and Terrence went on there, and then you have another podcast network where you guys talk Bachelor. I was looking at that. And so with all your busy schedule with producing, obviously 2 of the top podcasts in the game right now. How do you find time to do that? How are you going to continue to build that?
I've been kind of hiring my own staff, and I mean, because I got hired by Theo. Well, first Adam Carolla back in the day, just by reaching out, being a fan, being a listener. And I know there's a lot of people out there now, like me. So I posted on my Instagram, looking for editor, looking for this, looking for that. And I get people to reach out and that want to help, that are motivated people interested. And so I've hired an assistant from Chicago, an editor from Milwaukee. And so now I'm kind of building out a team, and it's just kind of getting it regimented. So every show, whether it's King and the Sting or it's my own shows, they all pretty much run the same, the way like I get it out edited, get it out on social media. My shows sometimes take the back burner because I got to do what puts food on the table for me and gives me like money to dump into my own business. But that's just what I'm doing. It's eager people wanting to help. And the people I get helping, like I really try to ask them what their goals are and what they're trying to do. So they're not just like, I want to have them feel motivated. And like, if they're interested and they want to take on more, I'm like, go, feel free, go do it. But yeah, basically I'm trying to build out a team to just keep adding more shows is the goal.
That's amazing.
And then
you're a machine.
he's a fucking machine.
He's a machine, bro. Goddamn.
It's so funny because like when I was growing up, basketball was my favorite thing in the world. I should have been way better for how much I played.
You got some height. You got some height. You got some height.
Yeah, bro. You got the length.
Yeah, and it's funny because when I was young, like until I was sophomore, I was like the smallest kid in my class, and then I just went through like a major growth spurt. So like back in the day when I was playing and actually like starting on teams in middle school and shit, I was a point guard and stuff, and then I grew. But I don't know, like I think I was practicing the wrong way because every summer I'd be at the YMCA 6-7 hours a day, but just fucking
doing the wrong thing.
Didn't see the results. But I always thought about it. I was like, when like you're a fan of the NBA and you have your favorite players, but then you hear about people who don't have like work ethic or whatever. And when I was a kid, I was like, if I'm ever in the NBA, or if I ever got to the NBA, like I would never waste that opportunity. It'd be like, just for 10 years, I put everything I have into it. And now I'm kind of like I'm working essentially my dream job besides being a pro athlete. And I'll catch myself slipping where I'm like, oh, I'll do that later. I'll do this later. I'm like, this is the same shit that I was telling. Equivalent. Yeah, it's what I was telling my younger self I wouldn't do. So I'm like, I try to remind myself that and like just try to treat it as it is. This is my dream gig, so I want to work hard at it and just keep grinding. I heard Corey Sandhagen, he was on This Past Weekend recently, and he was talking about how he's like, I wonder if other professions are working at their craft as hard as I work at MMA, because like he thinks like he's working the hardest, and like so I've taken that approach, try to treat it like it's this thing that could be taken away at any time.
Mm-hmm.
It is funny though, like as you get older, you see people that are like pretty judgmental, like kind of how you talked about like, oh, I would never do that, or I would never do this. And then like you see like, oh, when Justin Bieber was 20 and he has $200 million and he's racing Lambos, I'm like, how the fuck are you gonna, how like I listen to older people like, how are you gonna judge him? Like if I was 20 and had Lambos and I was in Miami, I'd probably be doing some street racing too. What the fuck?
Yeah. Dude, I didn't even have like his opportunity, and I was acting like an idiot. Like, like so if I had that money and access, I don't know, it probably wouldn't have been great.
Back to
my camera.
Yeah, clean that thing off there, buddy.
I'm embarrassed. I got my fucking awesome setup at home, and now I just have my shitty webcam that I'm using for you guys. So.
No worries. We'll have you back on. Back to kind of recapping what you're talking about. So you started with Adam Carolla, who, I mean, is one of the pioneers in the podcast game and has done it for a long time. So I just want to hear, like, how was that experience and how did that even all start?
So I'll start so I moved in like 2014. I was living in Minneapolis. That's where I went to college, University of Minnesota. Actually dropped out to play online poker because I'm a fucking idiot. But when I was in college, basically my biggest fear always growing up has been like the 9-to-5 cubicle office space. I was like, I just don't want to do that. I want to have something I'm working on that's like my own, that I can grow. The work I put in, I can see the output. So I was working for a guy who I was his first employee. He started a mixed martial arts equipment company. He would import the stuff from overseas and brand it. And then my job, I would call gyms and we'd brand it for them and stuff. And that's really when I got into MMA, coincidentally enough. But so I was his first employee. I knew all the financials of the company, and I was there for like 2 years, and he grew tons. And I knew how much he was making. So I kept I just wanted something, like I said, like where the work I put in, I saw more results rather than a salary. I wanted like commission or really like ownership,
equity,
some sort of stake, which like I was just some kid off the street for him. I understand why he didn't want to do that at the time. But like commission, I wanted, and eventually he didn't want to do it. And I always listen to podcasts at the same time. And literally, I just kind of got a wild hair up my ass one day, and I quit. I got an LA Fitness gym membership to all 50 states, and I drove in my Jetta that had 300,000 miles to LA, and I lived in my car for like weeks at a time. And I was like applying to like all these podcast companies at the time, like Podcast One. There's like another one called Oxford Road, podcast sales company, because I had like account management experience. So I thought like that's the way I'd backdoor, just do sales or something. And eventually, so I had a couple interviews, nothing panned out. And then I had been in LA like I moved out here in October, almost moved back around Christmas. I was like, not really finding anything, starting to get like depressed. I think it was really just the holidays, missing family, shit like that. Almost moved back. Yeah, for sure. And almost moved back, but like my part-time gig that I had at the time, the boss there, he like convinced me to stick it out. He's like, no, you're a really good worker just for us. Like we use you. I think you'll find whatever you need eventually. So I stuck it out. And then in like April or May, the Adam Carolla show just put out, they were looking for an intern. I hopped all over it. I knew the people because I listened to the show 5 days a week. It's like Stern, you know who the staff members are and stuff.
Yep.
So like I knew who to address my cover letter to, and I had like inside jokes about the show. And then I got an interview. They brought me in. I knew from some of the other interviews I have, I was like throwing out names of like like intermediary companies that they knew and stuff. So they knew I was serious about the industry, and I got hired there for free for 3 months. And then in that same Jetta as I was living in, but in the meantime, I got an apartment. But I started Ubering like 60 hours a week besides that internship to make money. And then eventually got hired and worked for Adam Carolla show for 2 years at $28,000 a year.
Hey.
And
now you're the top producer in the world. Now you're on the top producer in the world. There you go.
Now you Mr. Him. You're Mr. Him now.
It's man, I actually got a little chills telling that story. But at the Adam Carolla show too, that's where I met Theo. And like I did a couple like some side social media work for him for a podcast he had a long time ago called Allegedly. And eventually he was like, we're just not making money. You did good work, but like maybe we'll work together in the future. I left Adam Carolla's show, worked at Funny or Die a little bit in between, and then they laid off a third of their staff. And that was a huge bummer. I thought that was like going to be like, I was like, this is the gig. Like I was starting to be in producers meetings. Like
who's that? Who owns that? Who was the owner of that?
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I've seen that. I remember going on that website. Like I thought that was going to be bigger than it ended up being.
They actually do really well they like will produce shows for Hulu and stuff. Okay. So like you won't even know some of the stuff they do, but in terms of like, I don't know, the content's world really changed. I mean, they've had 2 rounds of giant layoffs, got their staff way too big, and then it's like, oh, we're making these funny sketches and stuff, but how do we make money? Do you remember that Pearl sketch? It was called The Landlord, and this baby goes up to Will Ferrell's door, and it's like a toddler. She's like barely one. She's like, I want my money. And it was one of the first viral sketches like 10 years ago. It started Funny or Die. I'm sure a number of people listening remember it, but look it up if you haven't. It's a great sketch. Yeah. She's like, pay me my money. It's good shit. But yeah, that was Funny or Die. Ended up getting laid off there. And then I just hit up Theo, literally hit him up just to be, because I was like, am I going to have to move back to the Midwest? I don't know. I'm like just trying to figure out my finances. And so I just called him up. I'm like, so was that under the table, or you 1099ing me for that? Trying to figure out my taxes. And he's like, oh, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Then he's like, so what are you doing now? I was like, well, actually, I just got laid off. And his podcast, he was just starting to get some traction at that time. It worked out. And
then everything is just funneled into the King and the Sting and this past weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, I think every step of the way, because I was just doing social media work for him, and like every step of the way, I tried to go above and beyond. And like one time he was going to have his first guest on the show, and he's like, "Oh, can you get like our little studio ready for a guest?" And he came, and I had 3 cameras set up and like all ready to go, and he's really impressed. And then like that just kind of developed, and then he's in that same building. He started going on Fighter and the Kid, and him and Brendan struck up their friendship and decided they wanted to do something together. And then they asked me, and I actually really didn't work on. I always picked the topics for King and the Sting, but for like,
yeah, you get a lot of shit. You get a lot of shit sometimes.
Yeah, you see that? Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're definitely one of my favorite people on the entire show. Like Nick, you're always a guy you hear in the background. I didn't see your face for months until listening to this show, and I was like, "Oh, that's him." And then I was like, "Oh shit, okay, cool. I got a name to the face." So I was just like, "You're definitely," I was like, one of the best parts of the show because you're always there, bro. You're like the tech savvy wizard that just makes sure everything is flowing smooth. I'm like, God damn, we need a Nick. We need a Nick.
We need a Nick.
Like,
we need a Nick.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm glad the way it's comes across, because it feels like chaos on my end a lot. Like, I mean,
beautiful.
even with my like attitude, where I'm telling you my attitude, oh, like work every day, that's gonna be taken away from you. I still have these like bad like high school habits where I'm like, I'll procrastinate, and like the night before I'm looking through the submissions and stuff. But we always seem to get it done.
Well, it helps that you have two of the best doing the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you could give them the shittiest topic ever, and they'll turn into something wild.
To go.
That's the thing. Those two don't realize sometimes. Of like, because like I'm always thinking about like, oh, what the submissions are be, but like you said, those two could just sit down and talk, and that's really what people are tuning in for. I feel like the bells and whistles kind of part of it is more like for people who just stumble across it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's in a shiny package, so it'll stick around longer. But just hearing those two talk is what's entertaining. I gotta grab my charger.
Yep.
Yeah.
It definitely gives the show like an order, even though like you said, it doesn't even really need an order because it's out of order in a way is basically what it is.
That's what makes it so great,
Two Bears, One Cave. Like,
yeah,
I don't watch it religiously, but I'm pretty sure those two just sit down and talk.
Yeah,
it's great. They're funny as hell too. Oh
my
God. Oh my God. When I first saw it, I was like, there's no way this could be funny. And then like 6-7 videos later, I'm like, these guys are fucking hilarious.
They're beasts.
What you have any wild stories of when you lived in your car?
Yeah, I mean, some wild stories from Ubering. That was always.
Did you wait? Hold on. So when you're living in your car, did you just have to rotate spots, or did you have like 3 or 4 spots that you would rotate to like park it?
I kind of found right away. I'm moving all over the place, and I would stay like
couches.
I every once in a while, I had a number of friends who I'd hit up, but I just never wanted to like overstay those welcomes, you know. But man, I didn't know this, but like January, February, it can get kind of cold in LA overnight.
A little chilly.
Yeah. Being from Wisconsin, I didn't think that would happen. But yeah, I mean, when it's 40, it's tough sleep. So every once in a while I would hit up friends, but like I would drive my car like more to like actual LA proper, like Santa Monica, Hollywood, whatever. And that's where you would get like more knocks on your window every once in a while. Like, but usually it was like cops are like, "Oh, you living in your car? Cool. Sometimes you have to move, whatever." But then I started staying out in Pasadena more because that's where the job that I worked at was, and that was always really chill. I think it was just like they were looking for that less in some of the neighborhoods I would find, but.
Damn, we probably drove by. We probably drove by you when Terrence lived out in Santa Monica. He had to speak out there. That was a while ago.
That wasn't so long ago.
Damn, those are good times though. Santa Monica's a fun place. Let's take a second to talk about my favorite website to go to every day. That is the everydayfan.com, your one-stop shop for all your sporting news. Whether it's the NBA, NFL, or even the EPL league, they have you covered. But they don't stop there. From pop culture to wrestling to entertainment, this is something for everyone. With some of the best writers in the game, Come get a fresh perspective from everyday fans like you. While you're there, also check out their memorabilia shop and make your man cave one to envy. Shout out to everydayfan.com. Everybody, please go check them out. It's a great place to get news, unbiased. You can see everything you want to see, get the latest to up to date on sports and just literally everything. I go through there, I'm scrolling through there. You can find whatever you want. Shout out to Everyday Fans. Everybody go check them out. Well, let's hop into this UFC card, 259. Arguably probably the best card of the year. If that's something you could say.
Stacked.
I can't agree enough. I've been excited for this one for so long. Yeah. One of my other friends, he just got in the UFC during the pandemic, like a lot of people, and now he's like all in, and he's just like everybody licking their chops at this card.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't wait for this.
Obviously, we have like a personal connection, kind of, with Aljamain Sterling. We had him on the show, and we
tight.
So we were waiting for him, or that we had him on because we thought he was going to have the fight in December. Ended up getting pushed back, and so just having him on the card, and then you have, I mean, the whole list. I mean, let's start with the first.
Nunes.
Yeah, let's start with the first fight though. Thiago Santos versus Rakic. Give us your insight on this one, Nick.
This is definitely one I'm not gonna bet on because, like, I don't know. Usually I think I can find value when it's and take all this with a grain of salt because 2021 has not been good for me on the betting side. But it's been rough. But I usually think I can find some value when it's differing styles, and you think someone's grappling can outdo someone's striking, but both Thiago and Rakic, they're gonna want this on the feet, and they're just gonna bang, and it's gonna be a war. Like, who fucking knows how this fight is gonna go? But it's gonna be like,
they're gonna throw down.
If you take away the title fights, this could be one of the best fights on the card. If you're talking like pure fireworks, like
exactly, this could be a slugfest, a legit slugfest. Going back through Santos's fights, I was watching him last night. Like, he fought John Jones fairly legit. He's been in like some legit fights where it's like, this guy can cause some trouble. But then you have this young up and coming Rakic who is, I mean, he's dynamite too. I mean, that guy, he has potential to be a star at this weight. Yeah,
I hope one of them wins in dramatic fashion so they kind of get the respect they deserve. And I hope it's Thiago, just because like he's had, like you said, he fought John Jones really well. He hurt his leg in that fight. He was basically fighting injured, and still like somehow he got a split decision against John Jones basically on one leg. The fight before that, he beat Jan Blachowicz. He knocked him out.
Exactly.
And then he ran into Glover, who's like one of my favorite guys in MMA. He's like the happiest dude in the world, and that's just a really tough matchup because Glover has old man strength. Like
he was old. He was old. I mean, he was 41 at the time, and he got him in that rear naked choke. And
it was like a classic Glover fight. He got the shit beat out of him on the way to finally getting his hands on him, but like once he grapples with you, for most people that's going to be over. So like, just because of all that stuff, that all the adversity Thiago has fought through, whereas Rakic is like really, really young in his career. I think if Thiago loses this, I don't see him really getting a title shot in his career again. But if he wins, he's probably one away from a title shot, whereas Rakic is going to be a staple in the division for 8 years.
Yeah.
So I know you're not betting on it, but if you were, who would you take? I mean, what's the odds on this one? I'm not sure.
I'm looking. It is Thiago's plus 135.
Okay. Terrence doesn't really know the betting world.
I have no idea, bro.
But
I have, like, when it comes to betting, I am so lost. Like, just hearing the 135, I'm like, all right, okay, cool. They tried explaining to me last podcast we did. Completely, just still not.
Well, you got to stay away from it just because you don't want to be the Pete Rose of basketball.
But just only with basketball. I can bet on anything else. It
That's
just
true.
can't be
That's true.
basketball or NBA. So, but it's just still, I'm clueless. So I'm just like, fuck it, forget it altogether.
Yeah, so Tiago's the slight underdog.
Yeah, I was like, it's not like a 600 plus favorite.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
all right,
yeah.
cool. So
It's
it's
not.
like a small, slight, barely. It's right there. It's still even.
And seeing him as the underdog because I also want to win. I like when my heart aligns with my head on these bets. So like I want to bet on the guy I'm also rooting for, even if I think a guy I really like will lose. And I think the other guy's a sure bet. I won't bet against the guy I like just because I don't like having that conflict. It's dirty money.
Hey, I ran into that. I ran into that with my homie Mike because we went to Tampa for the Super Bowl. We didn't go to Super Bowl. We went to Tampa though. And the week before, I was like, "Oh, Green Bay's gonna beat Tampa," and I was gonna bet on it. And it was like everyone was telling me, "Don't do it. We're going to Tampa. We want Tampa to go to it, or you're gonna fuck up the vibe." And I still did it. And yeah, Tom Brady fucked me. I lost money. But I feel you on that. It's hard to bet against who you're cheering for sure.
What were you saying before? Oh, the Packers. God, so I'm from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Massive Packer fan growing up. In November, I bet $400 on them to win the Super Bowl. I would have won $11,000.
Oh,
so close.
And the closer you get to it, like I think they were like plus 250 or something.
Yeah, so the odds went down.
So they were like 2 to 3 to 1
down.
instead of 10 to 1.
Yeah.
So there's actually markets where I could have sold that bet and probably made like $4,000. But again, it's like, that's betting against my boys. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, you write it out. Fuck it. $400. Fuck it. It's going.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
exactly.
let's move to the second one. I honestly know very little about both. How about you explain to us what this fight should look like?
This is another one. Like I just said, if you take away the title fights, that other fight could be the best fight of the card. This one could too. Islam Makhachev he's a teammate of Khabib, AKA, and he is like Daniel Cormier just said the other day, and I think
this is dude with I heard about this guy a little bit.
Yeah, and this could be DC gassing up his guy, but he says he thinks Islam would beat Khabib in straight wrestling, which I don't know about that. What were you saying about? What was
well, I heard. Why was this the same? I don't know if this same dude. I heard him talking to somebody. I heard it was no. This is somebody else because this was Khabib. I think this dude was Khabib was a trainer, and they said that he was a little more. He's kind of like Khabib, but he had a better stand-up game.
Yeah. No, I think this is him.
This is him. Oh, he has a better striking game than Khabib did when he first started his debut. Because this dude, he put his last guy out. I think it was like a left, and then put the dude on his back, and he just finished him on top. But they said if anything like that, this dude could be serious.
Yeah,
that could be like DC again. Just that's his man. So who knows? But I mean, he seems like he could be legit.
He's definitely legit prospect. I mean, if you just look at his last two fights, he fought Davey Hamish, who's like, he's one of those guys that like the Damian Mayas, the Gilbert Burns, who there's black belts and then there's like elite level black belts. Davey Hamish is one of those guys, like ADCC champion. I don't know all the organizations, but like best in the world. They grappled a little bit. He wasn't really afraid of him, beat him on the feet really handily. The fight before that, he fought this guy named Arman, and I do have his record in front of me. I wish I was rattling these off the top of my head. But
he's a machine.
I definitely remember the fights as I'm looking at him. Specifically, this Arman Sarkarian fight. That was one of the best grappling exchanges. They're rolling around, they're sweeping, this guy on top, this guy on top. But it's one of those wins that he didn't get the recognition for because that was Arman Sakarian's UFC debut. So people didn't understand the level that he was at, but the guy's the real deal. But then Drew Dober is just like on an absolute run too. He beat Alexander Hernandez, Nasrat Hacker. I can never say that guy's name, but I know he was a big underdog in that one, probably the same 3-1 underdog type thing in that. His only loss recently was the Beneil Dariush, who's been killing everybody. I don't know. I'm really, really excited about this one too. This fucking main card is.
It's unbelievable.
No, it's amazing.
Like, I cannot wait. So if you picked one, who would it be here? Who would it be here? Tell our fans that who bet. Who would you take?
I think Islam is. I think he's going to be a title holder one day. Drew Dober is like top 10. I think Islam will eventually win a 155-pound championship. I think a lot of times these guys that are like, especially like the Russian prospects, I think they get held back from these title shots because they're not as marketable for the UFC. So that's why they're fighting guys that like aren't really, to use a pro wrestling term, going to put them over when they get the win. Like if you would have fought him against someone who's kind of fading in the 155 division, like if he were to fight Nate Diaz, I honestly think he would wipe the floor with Nate Diaz. But they would never do that because they want to keep the mystique of Nate Diaz and kind of keep this guy in the shadows, just grinding out his wins. But eventually they become undeniable. Khabib's 22, 23, 24-0. You have to give them a title shot at that point.
Yeah. Let's move to this next one. I mean, this one, like we talked about, we had Aljamain on here, but Jan is someone not to mess with. I mean, I went back and watched his fights again last night, and I called Terrence. I was like, man, he can't get hit by that left.
Powerful. He's tiny.
He can't leg hit by that left. I mean,
he's super strong. Like,
and he's skinny, and he's like wiry. It's like I watched the Uriah Faber fight, and obviously Uriah's old, but like you don't see, it doesn't look like it. But then once he hits you, your head is popping back with the jab. It's getting popped.
Yeah. And
he, like, the pace he puts on is so insane. That Jose Aldo fight,
yes,
was like he was getting his ass kicked, and I can't. Jose went to the body so many times, and Jose is like knocked out Jeremy Stephens with that body shot, and he just kept like digging and digging, but Peter just kept going forward. His first name, this is a little joke I have. His first name is spelled Peter, P-E-T-R. I spell it P-E-T-R-T because the guy seems like his gas tank is just like, I don't know. I don't trust it. I don't trust it, to be honest.
What are you saying, Roy? You saying roids? You saying roids? I'm playing.
I said TRT, so the joke doesn't actually make sense. What's the thing that TJ Dillashaw got popped for?
Oh, yeah, that's right. He got in trouble for that. I did see that.
The blood.
Blood.
It just basically
transferred?
helps your. Yeah.
With the oxygen intake.
Blood doping.
Yeah.
Is that what like the Olympians do?
Yeah, and all the cyclists always used to do that.
The blood doping
you
thing.
Take the blood out and then you put it away or something. Then you bring it back.
Do that.
The Russians, they got in trouble for that in the Olympics, where they were taking it out. That whole Icarus.
No,
You've seen the documentaries.
They got in trouble for the KGB breaking in and stealing samples. That's what they got in trouble for. But that's another conversation. No.
I need to watch it. I've heard.
You haven't seen Icarus? You haven't seen Icarus?
I haven't.
Oh,
it's crazy.
It's absolutely wild. Unreal. I've never. You just start off. Yeah, you just watch it.
Bikers, and it's just like makes you know you're talking about the KGB. It gets wild.
Come to kill him.
It gets intense.
So talking about the pace of Jan, every fight that
Aljo.
That's what I'm saying. I watched all the fights, and he's like Jan is literally has everybody's back to the fence. He's walking them down nonstop. He just does his little thing where he's like this, and then he just keeps getting closer. But then you have Aljamain who does the same thing, but he's so all over the place.
He's
and
like a pinball.
And it's going to be interesting because it's like they're both obviously going to try to use that intimidating mentality. But what happens? What happens? Like, what do you see happening?
Aljo has been very outspoken that his plan is to wrestle. Like he's like,
yep,
I'm going to make it a long night for him. I don't care if it takes me 30 takedown attempts. Once I get him down, it's going to be problems for him. I don't know if he's going to
be able to get him down.
If that is his game plan. I mean, Peter's a striker, but he comes from that area where wrestling is their bread and butter. Aljo's a weird guy because like usually wrestlers, you think of that like Uriah Faber, Chad Mendez, that short, stocky alpha male body, but Aljo is a wrestler who's really long, so that might be kind of a unique look for Peter. But like he's seen good wrestlers. Like that's probably what people have tried to do to him his entire career. The odds have gotten easy. The odds have gotten easy on this one. This is one where I kind of really think that Jan is going to win, but I won't be betting it because I'm such a big Aljo fan. I want him to win. He's flashy. I love that whole Sarah Longo camp. They've got Weidman up there in New York.
Long Island, baby.
Shout out Matt Serra.
Yep.
You had him on?
Yeah, we had him on.
We had Matt on too.
He was a dope. He's a dope dude. He hooked us with Aljamain.
So much energy.
All the time.
Sarah.
All the time.
Big kid.
Yeah.
You love it.
But that's like Aljamain. I mean, that guy has endless energy, and you can see how his like watching his fights, how he's developed like the kicks, the endless energy with the kicks, the stomach kicks, the high kicks, the low kicks, like all of it.
Bantamweight, John Jones.
But Jan's the same way though. Like watching Jan's fights, he's able to his takedown defense is tough. It's not super easy to take him down. Like, and that's where, like you said, Aljamain's gonna shoot him 30 times.
Take him down, you're only gonna have if he manages to survive that one takedown. If he survives that one takedown, then it's like, what are you gonna do to get him down a second time? It's like once might not be enough unless you just going Corey Sandhagen him and just fucking get to his back quick. I don't see that happening, but I mean, I don't know, man. But Aljo's his energy is unreal. Like he comes out of the gate, and it's not like Peter Yan. Like Peter's gonna walk you down, and then like he's gonna go with you but like Aljo is like almost making cuts to set up kicks and using his kicks to set up punches, and it's like very unorthodox. And I don't know, has Peter Yan fought anybody that's ever moved around like that? Like it's hard to replicate that type of fighting style, bro, because he doesn't stay in one spot. And it's like when he throws a kick, you're thinking he's gonna like take a few seconds to like kind of but he just comes back with another leg kick to set up like a hook or a jab or whatever. He does all that to try to take you down. Like if Peter can withstand that and all that random things, but the only thing that worries me is like
his power.
Doing all that is going to wear you down quick. And if you get caught with one from Peter Yan, like that could change the whole game plan. But I mean,
that's another one. It's just like a chess match. Like Aljo's got such a weird style because like usually wrestlers are going to want to try to keep it close, but he also like he usually fights from kicking range. So it's like, do you enter his? You got to avoid the kick, so you got to get close to him. But that's when he could take you down. But yeah, I honestly think Peter's going to be. I think it'll take place on the feet for the most part, and I think I don't know. I hope I'm wrong.
That's what I think too. I think it's gonna. I don't really see it becoming a wrestling match. I don't see that. And Yan is honestly, like everyone says, oh, he's just a striker. But you watch some of it, his kicks are. He's got a lot of good kicks. He's ended people with like. I mean, he caught Faber. I mean, he destroyed Uriah Faber, but he caught him with a dirty one.
I had that fight go to my bet was to go to the decision. It was like,
you're so close. You're so close.
It was so close.
His face was so messed up. And they have the common opponent, Jimmy Rivera. I watched those last night. And I don't know. The power of Aljo, I don't know if he has the power to really hurt Yan. I've just seen him take so many big shots, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm really excited for that one. I'm really excited. What's the odds on that one right now?
It's really close. I think it's even.
Wow. So that means Vegas knows. Vegas knows their shit. Vegas knows their shit. It's gonna be a good fight. It's gonna be close.
Oh, come on, Aljo.
Come on,
Aljo. But let's not be biased. Let's just like go.
No, I'm gonna be biased. Fuck that.
Yeah. Aljo, let's go. COVID spring break is right around the corner, and you know what that means. Spring break in your pants. Manscaped is here to ensure that the party in your pants never stops.
Even Veronica Cornerstone wouldn't say no to this pants party. For everyone preparing for a pants party this spring break, I have an exclusive 20% off discount. Use code TRP31 at manscaped.com. I've been using my trimmer, and man, is it lovely. I am smooth as an egg down there, baby.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Literally every week since we've been sponsored by Manscaped, somebody's been asking me for like, yo, what's up with the Manscaped? Can I get some clippers? And this and that. I keep hearing about it. So I'm just like, I'll set you up, but everybody's using it. If you're not using it already, it's time for you to join the party. Just get a pair, man. You'll get the discount. It'll be the best decision you made all 2021. You can clean up, bro. They got the flashlight. You just know nicks. The motor's solid. It's waterproof. Anything you need for a clean shave, it's all here for you. So go ahead, get you one.
And we got spring break coming around the corner. A lot of streaking.
The time is
a lot of wild parties. I know how spring break gets. You need to get cleaned up. You don't want those board shorts to have some, fur coming out the top or the bottom. Depends how short they are. You need to go get your Manscaped. You need to clean up. You need to look right for these ladies. You want to have a good time wherever you're going for a COVID spring break.
For sure.
To get on the Manscaped and use code TRP31 to get a 20% discount and free shipping at manscaped.com. Don't forget TRP31, manscaped.com, free shipping, 20% off. All right. The two ladies on this card. I mean, you have probably the greatest of all time, Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. Nick, give us a breakdown of what you think of this fight.
This is one I have bet on just because, I was really surprised when I saw the odds. Amanda Nunes she's the best of all time, but I still thought she'd be a 4-1 favorite. She's coming in a 13-1 favorite. Megan Anderson was a 8-1 underdog some places. So I put some money on I put some money on Megan. Amanda's been knocked out before. She's fighting at 145, which she's only done one other time to I don't know, if you saw Cyborg in the past, when she was outside the UFC and you do the side by side with her, what she looked like in the UFC, it's like night and day, the body differences. It's like Overeem from back in the day. He was like Overeem, giant shoulders, and now he's just an older, bigger guy. He's obviously got muscle, but something changed with their body type. So I feel like the Cyborg that Amanda Nunes beat wasn't the Cyborg everybody was afraid of, and I think that's what a lot of people are using
as a benchmark.
As the benchmark is she beat the best 145 of all time. Why can't she do it to Megan Anderson? But
Megan Anderson is huge. Guys, if you haven't seen her, bro, she's bro. Her trainer was like, bro, it is a nightmare just getting her to make 145. This girl they had her grappling with men, bro. And she's just tossing these dudes around, and she's lengthy, not big. This girl, she's fit. Legs are massively long.
That's what I was gonna say.
The frame is different, bro. I don't know if she's fought even for Cyborg. This girl is just like a post player, dog. She is huge. I don't know. Has she ever fought anybody? Has Amanda ever fought anybody this big?
No, definitely not. I think the only time Amanda's fought at 145 is when she, and I've got to double check this right now, but is when she won the belt against Cyborg, or did she Felicia Spencer maybe recently? Let's see.
I don't know if it was. I think.
Yeah, she beat.
No. She's had two fights at 145 because she's defended both belts, right?
Oh yeah, but one was again. Oh no, she's only had one. She's had two fights at 145, one defense at 145.
Yeah,
the defense was against Felicia Spencer, who this might be another thing that where people are getting that price from. Felicia Spencer actually choked out Megan Anderson a couple fights ago, but it's no secret that what Megan Anderson has had to improve on is her grappling. So this was a couple years ago now. She's definitely worked on it in that time. And Amanda's been just sleeping these girls. So I feel like she may have fallen in love with the striking a little bit and her power. So if she keeps it on the feet, that's the only place where I think she could get in trouble. If she was able to grapple, I think. But there's a reason she's such a heavy favorite. I could be saying all this and maybe Megan does get knocked out, but at that price, it's $400 to win. Yeah, $400 to win $2,600. I'll do it. And that's one, I'm having people over for the fight. So that's one so fun to root against the underdog. Mm-hmm. And if right before the main event, I hit 6-1, we're going to party.
What's okay? So you're having people over. What's your go-to drink then? What's your drink of choice?
I've become a woman, I guess, in my older age. I drink White Claws.
Okay, you're a White Claw guy.
I'll probably have, just trying not to get fat anymore. I'll probably have 8 White Claws on Saturday night. I stay away from liquor just because
things turn hell.
No one needs it. I don't need to be ripping shots anymore.
Right.
Yeah, it turns.
Yeah, it just turns ugly fast. I'm hosting. Don't want to piss off the lady. We'll keep it under control.
Let's keep it
just
clean.
have the White Claws.
Keep it clean.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So you heard him. Bet Megan Anderson. Get your White Claws, and if you lose, then go spam his page and say "fuck Nick."
Shout out Megan Anderson and all those dope ass leg tattoos.
All right.
She's yadded.
Did you guys see? Sean O'Malley has a podcast.
Yep.
Timbo Sugar Show.
I've heard of it.
He got like a little hot water. There was this clip that went viral. They had Casey Kenny on, and they're just like shooting the shit. And they're like, "So would you smash Megan Anderson?" And at first Casey didn't want to answer, and he was like, she's like a 5 a.m.er, and like,
oh no,
yeah, she probably like scrapped me.
She actually quote tweeted it, and I think she tagged Dana White. She's like, "What other profession can you talk about your coworkers like this without repercussions and stuff?" And
yeah,
she
wants those hands.
Well, you're in a brutal industry. Let's keep it real there. I mean,
and they're independent contractors.
Yeah.
When I was an Uber driver, I could talk as much shit about
Uber
driver.
But they're just slob driving by you. Oh, fuck that person.
But it wasn't the greatest look for Sean O'Malley.
No.
In the same clip that went viral, and I think he's tight, but he finds bravery in his bravado. So there's things that people don't like about him, I think, is what makes him good. But in the same clip, he was like holding his baby, and he was talking about how like he's not afraid to try heroin because he's too disciplined to get addicted to it. It was kind of tough. He got some heat for that.
Yeah, that's a big heat.
It probably got some hit on his podcast, though. I don't know.
For sure.
For sure. You bring up
like, no way he said that.
Let's this last one. I mean, actually, last time we were on your show, Jan was fighting Dominic Reyes, and Israel was fighting Paulo Costa, which is interesting now that they're fighting.
1 for 2.
Yes, exactly. And
love it.
Now they're fighting each other. And at that time, we both, I mean, I knew what Jan had, but I didn't see that outcome coming, and he wrecked him. But what do you think of this matchup? It's a very interesting one.
I think, and I've seen other people say this, but it's been my thought from the beginning. I think Izzy's a really smart guy. We've seen John Jones fight guys like Thiago and who else did he fight recently? He had a ton of power, and he just fought a really smart fight. He kept him at range with kicks, moving around, dancing, just eking out decisions, really, but keeping the belt.
The Floyd Mayweather approach.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, honestly, that's what we're going to see out of Israel Adesanya for the most part. Also, I don't think Jan's ever been to the 5th round.
Oh, that's interesting too, because this is a title. Yeah, this is his first
title
defense.
So, like, I think Izzy's going to be really smart, take him into deep waters, and then turn up the heat 4 or 5. And I think the speed is going to be
a problem.
It's going to be pretty evident at this point. So I really like Izzy. He's like minus 240 favorite. So you do have to like spend some money. That's basically bet 1,000, win 400. And
you got that, Terrence? You got that math there, buddy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then I also, because I think that's how Izzy's going to fight, I like the over 2.5 rounds. That's like right. It's maybe like.
Oh, it's over. The over's 2.5.
The line I saw was 2.5 rounds. A lot of books you could get 1.5 or 2.5. One's just usually more prominent. I think because it's 5 rounds, 2.5's the bigger one. And you're still paying a little bit of money. It's like bet 150, win 100 on over 2.5. But I just think I don't think Izzy's going to put himself in danger. He basically has yet to in his MMA career. Even if you look at a fight like Brad Tavares, who's like, he's knocks people out, but he's not like known for his knockout power. He never really, that fight went 5 rounds and he never really put himself in danger. I think it's just going to be a lot of that. I think honestly, out of the 5 main card fights, I think it will be the least exciting. It'll have like title fight feel and stuff, but I just think the other one.
But it's going to be very tactical. Yeah, I can see that happening.
But at the same time, it could be if he does get hit by Jan.
No, it's going to hurt.
It could be bad. It could be bad.
No, for sure.
If he can put out anybody. I mean, like
that dude's
just
a
going
muscle ball.
One thing that was crazy though, like he's known knockout. He's only 8 knockouts in 33 fights in Blachowicz' career. You think of him as someone who's like knocking out people every win. But he also has if he somehow got Izzy to the ground, there could be problems there. Like Jan's choked out good grapplers and stuff before, so he's definitely not a one-note guy. But I just don't think he's like the absolute knockout king like people.
But Izzy, I do not worry about, like, not that I don't worry about it, but I watched a lot of his kickboxing back when before he got into UFC. Bro, nobody really gets too many good shots on him. Like his defense is pretty good on the stand up, but one thing like because in kickboxing he went up from like light, he went up to like middleweight to light heavy, and then went up to heavy, and then put all those guys down, like knocked all these guys out. So I think he's used to people with power, and I think he's found a way to kind of navigate around it, I guess. Because I don't really worry about him anymore, bro. The kicks are deadly, and he fights at a kicking range where it's just like, if you want to get close, he's just gonna counter the shit out of you, and it's gonna be bad. Like I never really seen him too much on his ground game, but I mean, bro, he's always saying like, and we're talking about Izzy, right? Yeah.
He's always saying like people don't even know what I have on the ground and stuff. And you did see Kelvin Gastelum got him down a couple times, and Kelvin Gastelum's a really good grappler too, underrated grappling. And Izzy was throwing up triangles really fast, getting his legs around his neck, like threatening at least like immediately. Yeah. So I think he's better than people may assume he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's going to be very, very similar to that. Probably not as easy as the Costa fight. Because I don't know. Did you guys hear Costa came out and said he was hungover? That's the reason he put on such a bad performance.
I did not see that.
I'm not trying to hear that, bro.
I'm not buying it.
I'm not.
How does that make you look good at all? If it's true and you're a fucking idiot, or it's not true and you're a liar and just making excuses.
It's like Dante Wilder.
I can guarantee you probably heard that. He probably heard John Jones say something similar, try to bite off of him, and it sounds like a fucking complete idiot now. Because at least John was winning. Like, it was just a crutch that he just had for no reason. But you can't say that after you catch your first L. And the one thing that made me mad is the fact, like, bro, for the first round, you're taunting him that his leg kicks did not hurt. Like, you're brushing him off, and then next you know, bro, you're stuck and you're on the ground and you're dazed. Like, it was bad. But I don't know. That guy, he gets on my nerves a little bit.
And Izzy is just like he's very thoughtful about the fighting, and he loves anime and shit, and he loves. Have you seen some of the edits when he's like going in and out, maybe lightning on it, and he's like that's literally how I think of him fighting, and I just feel like he's gonna be like, all of a sudden he's slapping Jan in the back of the head, and he's like, I'm behind you, now I'm in front of you. Like
anime I think he's cutscene.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be that much faster. And I'm a huge fan of him. So like, even though like I want to see a good main event, if he just wins handily like that, that'll be crazy. It'll be all like guys from Africa.
Mm-hmm.
The 170 pound, 185, 205, and heavyweight if Ngannou were to win the belt.
That's crazy.
Damn, shout out Africa.
Yeah.
They about to fuck the whole UFC
up. Is he Nigerian?
Yes.
Nigerian?
Yeah, he's Nigerian.
Yeah.
Him and Usman.
And
Usman, man, what a performance.
Could be a good one.
Fuck.
Yeah,
who does he fight
next?
He's like one.
He wants Masvidal. Or they're talking Masvidal, but that's just
game bread.
That's a
I heard
money
they're
one.
a lot closer.
I
heard that they're a lot closer. Who else did he like? Who the fuck are they gonna fight? Sorry, who's gonna fight him?
He's cleared out that division. I don't even know.
Does he move up? Move up.
And then Izzy's got to. It gets so fucked up when these people win 2 belts though, because like
Yeah.
But Izzy might be able to go back and forth quicker than some of the other people have done it, because he said he's not really putting on that much muscle for the fight. He says he's like a lot of times I just heard this on Helwani. He said when he's fighting at 185, sometimes he's entering the cage only at 195. And so like he could possibly weigh in under the limit of 205 on Friday. That's going to be a really interesting thing to see. Is he 205 on the nuts, or is he like under a little bit?
That
So
will be interesting.
what happens when somebody loses this fight? What happens to the belt? It just becomes vacant in that division, or, you know?
When someone loses.
Yeah, let's say if Jan loses, what happens?
Izzy gets it.
Like,
He'll be holding 2.
so he'll be holding 2. Got it.
Yeah,
Damn,
yeah,
bro. So okay,
And
what
then
happens if
it's
Jan holds it or wins,
Yeah.
because he's not going down? That it just becomes vacant, or does Izzy keep it?
No, the 185 belt isn't up for grabs.
This is Jan's belt's up for grabs right now.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
You can't say that fight's up for grabs because he didn't weigh in at 185 pounds.
Yeah.
So
For
then
sure.
like Izzy just goes back to 155 pounds.
It's a win-win
or
for him.
180.
I mean,
Yeah, for
fuck.
sure.
I mean, if he wins, he gets 2 belts. If not, he just goes back to his belt. So the 2 bets
I
for
can't
you.
wait for this fight.
So you have 2 bets, is what you're saying for the main card? Is that what you're saying? You're gonna Megan Anderson and Adesanya?
Yeah. So 3 because I have that over.
Okay,
and the Izzy
over.
fight. I have Izzy, the over, and Megan Anderson, and then my other 2 bets on the card. And this honestly, I think, is like a problem I have when I look at all sports. Like in fantasy football, when I started to fade out of being a huge NFL fan, on my fantasy teams would be like filled with guys who were great 3 or 4 years ago. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just take chances that anytime a wide receiver, it seems like there's one every year who, like, for some reason he didn't play the year before. But I've had Des Bryant on my team like every season. Like I'm the one picking up Antonio Brown. I'm like, dude, if I just get myself into playoffs, I got all these weapons for playoff time.
And once they get healthy.
I think, but that hasn't panned out recently. But I think I'm suffering from a little bit of the same thing because I bet on Dominic Cruz, who's an underdog, versus the aforementioned Casey Kenny. Interesting, they're on the same card, Megan Anderson and Casey Kenny. That would be an awkward interaction if they meet. And then who's the other bet I bet on this card?
And that's in the prelims, right?
Yeah.
Damn, Dominic
Joseph
Cruz.
Benavidez versus Askar Askarov. Both those guys have been just staples in their division. They're definitely old now. Cruz has fought like one time in like 6 years, but I don't know. I just think they're levels above the guys they're actually facing, and it's going to be like a vet lesson to 2 prospects in those divisions. But it could just me just reminiscent, just loving the guys that like I was watching right when I got in the sport.
That's true. It happens with everything, man. It's like you still see Carmelo, you're like, damn, that guy's still got it. I mean, he still does, but there's a lot of young guys out there that are a lot better.
On him.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
that's what happens, man. Father Time catches up. But
hey, man, we really appreciate this, Nick. How about you shout out everything you got going, plug your Instagram, everything people can find you.
Right on. The two main things, if you're a Bachelor fan or a Below Deck fan, we have another Bachelor podcast and another Below Deck podcast. Me and 2 of my good buddies, we cover the show. My favorite part of our podcast is when we stray away from actually talking about those shows and we're just going on tangents and it has nothing to do with it. Some people once in a while they'll tell us they listen and they don't even watch the shows, which I think is a big compliment. And then we're just, because those actually seasons are wrapping up, we're going to start doing a show that we've been doing on Patreon only, but we're going to do a free version and a Patreon version. We just call it another podcast show, and it's the same vibe, but we're not really talking about anything specific. We basically all bring in something to talk about. I'm actually surprising next week. I'm surprising my guy, because one of the guys, Dylan, who's on the show, he likes to show us these weird YouTube food reviewers that are just there's some maniacs on this planet that like to give their ratings on the newest item for wherever. And I think I can do it just as good. So I'm going to be going to Arby's, filming myself trying out the meat mountain.
Oh, fuck.
It's their sandwich that has chicken, Arby's beef, and I'm going to film myself and then surprise them with my own food review.
I love it.
That sounds like a good time.
It's fun. We definitely have fun. Even we're finally turning a little profit from a couple advertisers, some Patreon money, but we do it even if it was free. We're just hanging out. It's fun. And I heard this guy, this Texas radio host, or someone told me he said this. He's like one of the biggest morning radio guys in the country at the moment. I don't know his name, but he's like, the key to this, and I think it applies to podcasting just as it does morning radio, is you just want to be having more fun than the person like commuting to work is listening to you. Like, just be in a situation where they want to hang out, and I think we capture that.
Definitely,
that's actually big facts.
That is a
it's
big
very
fact.
Relatable.
Well, appreciate it, and you can follow you at what is it? Real Nick Davis Instagram.
Real Nick Davis. Yeah.
Yep, perfect. Well,
check out that my dream setup in my
yes,
check that out.
Hit that like button. It's a dope setup, man. We really appreciate you coming on here and dropping us
much, man.
This UFC knowledge, and we'll definitely have to do this again soon, man.
Literally anytime.
Yes,
so
sir.
Fun.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome to the show, what a wonderful delight. Patsy and T-Ross better chop up on the mic. Just sit back, have a laugh, catch a vibe, and enjoy the ride.